Okay, good morning. Welcome to meeting. We're going to go over agenda items on the Tuesday. Let me see who's first up, I think. I see WashDOT or whoever.
Are we really going to allow this? That's not on the agenda.
Me?
Don't worry about it. Remember the old saying, if you work for bureaucracy, you have a problem. If bureaucracy works for you, you got something going.
Good morning, Deborah Gardner, Cowlitz County Treasurer. I have the bond council agreement on the agenda tomorrow for you to sign, and I just wanted to see if you had any questions and let you know it would be there.
Oh. It should be bond council agreement,
Mhm.
not bound.
Oh, does it say bond? Yeah. Yes, bond. And the bond council is who advises us if we were to go out for an issuance of bonds or any type of debt. They would help work us through that process as our counsel.
Okay.
That is just like a PSA, right?
Mhm. Yes, and they also have to be appointed as a special deputy prosecutor from the prosecuting attorney. So he has signed that part of the document as well.
You've already done that.
What's that?
He's already done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I just
All right.
wanted to make sure if you had any questions, I could answer them.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you.
Good morning, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. So Public Works has one item on the consent agenda and two on the motion. The item on the consent agenda is our annual Title VI report that we are required to submit to WashDOT every year. The report summarizes the public outreach we completed in 2023 and the right-of-way that we purchased in 2023. Excuse me. So there were, within the report, there are 4 projects that we purchased right away for in 2023. The South Cloverdale Road intersection, which we're still working on. We purchased 10 from 10 different residents. The Cathlamet Road slide repair, which is at 98% complete. It's in suspension. We're waiting to finish the striping. We purchased right away from one individual. He owned property on both sides. The Eric Creek culvert, which we're waiting on the approval of our specifications from WashDOT. We purchased from 3 different residents. And then the Hazeldale Road retaining wall project, we purchased right away from one person. Also within the report, you'll see our chart of Public Works Administration, how we're set up. And there's also a listing of our consultants and what their contracts are worth within the report.
This is just an annual report WashDOT requires.
Yes, and
from
it's
you.
pretty much the same every year, just we change whatever contracts we've added and whatever we've purchased that year.
Just out of curiosity, and if you want to ignore the question, feel free. Do you know of any time when that report has been declined or not accepted? Not just for, not Cowlitz only, but just any place.
So yes, I do know of a time where ours has been sent back because they said we did not have enough information in there. We revised it and sent it back in. So it was accepted finally, but they did not like the initial form format that we were using. And so this is the updated format. That was about 3 years ago that occurred, 3 or 4 years ago when we sent in, it was either 19 or 20 report was sent back and we updated the format.
But I'm curious as the county does its business and let's say it does it in good faith and it turns out they violated Article 6. Any experience on what happens?
I don't have any experience, but I imagine what would happen would it would go against our certification as being able to manage our own projects instead of WashDOT managing them. And they could potentially retain or request funding back from us. That is what I've heard happens when you're not staying in line with the agreements because it's a federal title that it would impact.
Okay, thank you. There's always a hammer, isn't there?
There is
Yeah.
always a hammer.
They carry this around at all times.
So would you like me to go on with the Public Works or have Tracy come up to continue the consent?
So while you're there, why don't we just,
Okay. So then we have 2 motion items. The first is a supplement number 3 to our as needed consultant agreement with WSP Engineering. And we're adding an additional $200,000 to their contract so that they can finish up the Tower Road Rock Creek Culvert project. For interest, that brings it up to $1.2 million. This is all is an as needed, so we request work from them. So the 1 million wasn't an amount they gave us to start off with. So in addition to working on the Tower Road Rock Creek culvert, in this contract, they've also worked on bridge load ratings for us, and they were the designers on the Eric Creek Culvert project. So we're just adding additional monies to their contract to finish out what they're working on.
So
just, go ahead.
after you.
Just on a side note, I talked to a couple people that live on the road out there. They said the one laner's fine. We don't need anything more. I think they like the idea where people have to slow down there. I don't know.
It's the ultimate slowdown.
Yeah.
It's the worry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they said they haven't. It's kind of like Mount Pleasant. There's not a ton of traffic to where you have many issues, so it tends to work. But yeah.
Yeah, just I can't remember some stuff. So this isn't a cost growth based on?
It's not scope creep. It's that we've asked them, we originally had the contract and it's an as needed. So we set an amount, which is not related to any project. It's what we expect our needs to be over a 2-year period. And so as projects come in, we borrow down on that amount. So this is just we've asked them to do this project and it's going to cost more than what we had on our initial contract.
Got it. Thank you.
So then our final item on the agenda is a new solid waste engineering services contract. So, excuse me, up until this year, so the last time we went out for consultants, we went out for 2 separate contracts for engineering, one for daily operations support and then one for straight engineering support. We found with the 2 separate contracts, it was a kind of a little bit of administration and overhead added to the contract. So this time we went around and we went out for 1 contract to provide both services. And that is what this contract is. It's with BHC, who currently has one of the other contracts. So it's a $600,000 contract and as needed. So we will add tasks as we go. The anticipated tasks for 2024 and 2025 is completing the cell 10 design, which they have done the 30% design. We use them for our annual flights of the landfill to figure out volume from every 6-month period and how much airspace we have. We'll use them for waste acceptance, and then we have some potential changes we need to make to our leachate pond up there to meet some permit requirements. So that is what we're looking at them for this $600,000. And in our previous 2 contracts over the 2-year period, we had an $850,000 amount, of which we spent just over $600,000. So we're thinking $600,000 is the right place to be.
And the time frame?
2 years.
So take us through the end of 25?
Takes us to the end of 25 with the option to extend for a year.
I'm always curious, is there any meaning to saying in an option to extend it? I mean, you always sort of implicitly have that, whether it's written in there or not. You can agree again, right?
We can agree again, but the way I've been taught through purchasing is that when you go out with your request for qualifications, you need to say that you have the option to extend for 1 or 2 years to keep your audit trail clean and your protest moving forward at a minimum.
Okay.
That is what I've been told. So that's why I always do it
It
that way.
sounds like you're the believer like I am.
Yes.
Okay. And got a further curiosity, how many respondents?
For the solid waste, we had 2 this year, which was surprising because the last time we went out, we had 6. So
Do you have any idea what the rationale is there?
why we only had 2?
Yeah.
I think the difference was because the last time we went out was when Richard Teal was leaving us. So they saw it as a wide open playing field of we don't have anybody. So let's go in and everybody apply. I think the rationale between only getting 2 this year is the one we went with was the one who we are currently working with. The 2 contracts that we had the BHC, who's the one who's receiving this contract, as the prime on one with Herrera Environmental as their sub. And on the other, it was flip-flopped, which is why we thought administratively how only having 1 contract made sense. So in this case, that took away one of your applicants because Herrera, who applied individually last time, applied as a sub with this consultant. So that took them out. And then we had the other person who applied was someone I had never seen before out of Arizona, I believe.
Okay, thank you. The reason I bring that up is that we sometimes infer something from having fewer respondents to a continuing effort that we have. That's not, that only typically in my book reflects once you get a contract, people assume that you've got the inside track. And so the next time they're they're unlikely to apply unless there's something egregious that they can identify.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
all right.
I'm not sure I can plan ahead that far.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tracy Jackson, Building and Planning. We've got 2 agenda items for tomorrow. One of them is on the consent agenda, and it's a resolution rescinding Resolution 16050 or 051. And we are replacing it with the same, with a new resolution. And in that resolution, the only thing that's changing, it's for our Building and Planning Advisory Council when it was established in 2007. It was established with 9 voting members, the active members of the committee, and then I was the non-voting member. And the BPAC requested that the environmental health manager, Season Long's position, and our county engineer are permanent members, non-voting on the position. They all attend, but they wanted them established in the resolution. So that is on the agenda tomorrow. It's just adding the 2 non-voting members, but making it official. It was unanimous decision by the BPAC as well. So that was good. We're happy to have them permanently on board. And the other item is, it's a public hearing at 10, and we are repealing and replacing county planning, and it's the 1803. We're replacing it with 1804. And the only thing that is changing on that is the board's direction to replace or to change the planning commission makeup from 9 to 7, with 2 from each commissioner district and 1 staff appointee. So after that takes place, our department will be recommending the appointee position. We have an idea in mind that will help communication with the board and our office. So we're gonna request that Kelly Dabrowski is our liaison, that the staff appointee, because then it won't be a conflict of interest with our department and or her designee. So that's all we have tomorrow.
You won't feel neglected if I don't ask a question.
You can ask a question.
I don't have one.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. Tomorrow I have 3 contracts on the agenda for local 334, which is Roads Department, Public Works, local 1262, which encompasses a number of different departments throughout the county, and then local 1262 Health Department. Local 334 covers a total of 86 employees. Local 1262 covers a total of 132 employees. And local 1262 Health covers 15 employees. And all of these groups are with AFSCME, so they're all under the same group that bargains for them. Financial changes for all 3 collective bargaining agreements include cost of living increases of 5% for 2024, 3.5% for 2025, and then 2026 and 2027 are CPI ranges with a floor of 2% and a ceiling of 3.5%. Increases to the employer contribution to county insurance benefits. We did a reset like we did with the exempt group to $18.50 a month for 2024, and then $50 increments thereafter to 2025, 26, and 27. We've included an additional bonus leave day after 20 years. This previously was earned after 22 years. And the ability to earn overtime for standby pay on weekends and holidays. This is like for maintenance and public works utilities when they're on standby. They typically get 1 hour straight pay for being on standby. And that will remain the same outside of when they're on a weekend or a holiday, they'll get overtime for that 1 hour of standby pay. Additionally, these agreements include for local 334 trainer pay for employees performing certified training, like obtaining a CDL Class A or flagging. So when we have an employee training for these things, they receive a 15% increase for the hours that they're training other employees. And then a salary reclassification for road crew operators and solid waste operators. For 1262, included out of cost pay language for employees performing duties out of their current job classification. This is matching what Public Works currently does, which is a 5%, a 10%, and a 15% increase when you're performing duties outside of your normal job functions. And then training pay for employees performing specialty duties in juvenile, for defensive tactics and crisis intervention. This doesn't happen very often, but it's similar to like an out-of-class pay class for 4% increases. And then 1262, we have salary reclassifications for our public health nurses, which is about a 2.5% increase for those nurses. Along with these changes are other language changes for all the groups. The ability to use donated leave after 6 months employed. Previously, it was 1 year. The employer ability to approve leave without pay prior to hire. The employer's ability to extend the probationary period for an additional 3 months. So this would be a total of 1 year probation versus it was previously 9 months. And then we cleaned up a number of different language articles like sick leave, and then language regarding promotions, demotions, and transfers. You have any questions, or is there any information you'd like me to provide for tomorrow or have prepared for tomorrow?
I didn't hear properly the numbers on 334, the number of employees,
86 employees.
86.
Yes.
And that 15% that you mentioned for the 334, that's a training.
A trainer pay. So when they're performing certified training, like we have CDL drivers that will train other employees to then get their CDL Class A, they receive a 15% increase for training.
Up to a 15%.
Yes.
Okay, and does that CDL trainer have official stand-in certification of some kind?
I'm not sure what they have, but there's a couple employees in Public Works that have been training for a number of years, and they've been receiving 15% out of class pay for the training. So we're just memorializing that they'll receive that 15%.
So if I'm an employee and I'm a trainer and I spend 100 hours on the job, of which 5 of those are for training somebody,
They would receive 5 hours at 15% increase.
I see. And have we always had that?
We have, it's just not on the contract as trainer pay. They've just been receiving the 15% out of class pay.
It just seems whenever I work with anybody, I'm always happy to share anything and everything I know. And
Yeah.
and I wouldn't demand extra pay for doing something to serve a fellow employee or the county.
Yeah, this is more, so instead of sending an employee to CDL training school, we train in-house. So it's outside of just the normal on your daily, every day, you're showing them how to do something throughout the day. That's different than we're basically doing the class in-house.
Okay, and so when I go through this class as your employee, what do I get at the end? A CDL certification?
Yeah, they're able to drive CDL Class A vehicles.
Who does the certification? The instructor that we're paying the 15%?
So we do the training and then they go to get their CDL test at another place. They have to have a certain number of hours.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Savannah, go ahead.
Saves us money.
Good morning.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was on the other line. Thanks for promoting me. So I heard most of it. That training pay has been in place for quite some time. We just memorialized it in the contract at the 15%. As Jessica alluded, it is specific to a couple different positions, primarily CDL certified drivers, which they are certified with the state to do this training, and then flagging certification. So those are the only 2 certifications that would qualify currently under this language.
Is that written in the contract or is that just by habit or?
So it was by practice previously, and then it is now going to be memorialized in this contract if approved.
Right, I'm asking very specifically, is it memorialized for those two things, for CDL and one other thing that you mentioned?
Yes.
No, it's specific to, dependent upon the directors or their designees, determination if that person would be considered a certified trainer. So we left that open in case we wanted to add more certifications. We're looking at bucket truck certified trainers. We're also looking at, oh gosh, it just lost me.
Well, and
flagging.
Savannah, I just want to clarify, it's in the contract now, it lists CDL Class A flagging certification training and then other training as designated by the director. So we do
Right.
have those two classifications listed.
Yeah, I just don't want to open up a Pandora's box that says, oh, I help somebody sharpen a pencil and so I get 15% extra.
Mhm. And that's why we wanted to list the training, those two trainings specifically. And like Savannah alluded, there might be bucket truck training or other specialty trainings that need certifications. So that does allow the department to designate certified training.
But if I look at the language, does it tell me that if I am a trainer, the end goal is an official state certification of some kind or?
It lists certified training. So this isn't just training for a vehicle on public works like they would do on a normal everyday basis.
Right.
This is if you're receiving some sort of certification, like a flagger certification or a CDL Class A certification.
But the certification happens external to the county.
With CDL Class A, I'm not positive about.
No,
flagger.
with CDL, I'm
Yes.
sure it does, that not only does someone need to have the certification from the state, but it needs your approval of, that you think this individual can handle your equipment. I know I'm just wanting to make sure it's pretty tight there, so there's not a lot of wiggle room for trying to grow this into every time there's something that you end up having to
Absolutely.
pay extra money.
Agreed.
If I understood you correctly, that third phrase empowers the manager, the director, to make any adjustments that he feels is in the best interest of the
Yeah.
department for continued training and operation.
For certified training though. This isn't just for any this isn't just an open-ended training. This is for certified training specific to the job that they might need that they would have to go obtain.
Yeah, but that's where I wanted certified to be defined clearly as to what amounts to a certification.
Yeah, and we talked about this quite a bit in negotiations, and both the union and the employer are in agreement on what this certified language means.
But you're not telling me that language.
Well, I mean, I can read it to you.
While you're looking at that, Jessica, so the certification is specific to certifications received by Washington State. So the CDL certification is specific, flagging certification is very specific. We only have 2 people in-house that do both of those, and they all result in a certification received by an outside entity. So we could, and we have in the past, paid a subcontractor to provide this training and
No,
certification.
no, I understand all that. The important thing is to have sort of like an independent certification entity. so
That's
that we-
correct.
Okay, and that's
Yes.
really all I'm asking is that it's
Okay.
an official germane certification entity
Yes.
out there.
You are spot on.
And is it in the contract?
So the
And that would-
contract states employees who are assigned to perform certified training for pre-scheduled training shall receive a 15% increase for all hours worked while performing training duties as defined by the department. It shall include training pertaining to obtaining CDL Class A flagging certification, bucket truck certification, or other training as determined by the department. That's what the contract states.
Okay, I'd probably make it a little bit on the tighter side, but I don't think an issue will come up in the next 3 years.
Yeah, you're looking for things like Washington State requires this type of thing versus we're developing a Callis County certification for whatever.
Or I'm a member of the union that decides that this is a certification I must have, and so it takes it away from us
Right.
to be able to decide whether we want to pay for it or not.
Right.
And I'll make note of that, since this is the first contract cycle that we have this language. Should any problems come up, then we'll definitely make sure that the language is tightened up, but I don't foresee any problems with this current language.
Sounds like these contracts are all pretty much in line with everything else we've negotiated to date.
Yeah, just larger groups.
Yeah.
So how many, when you're doing these negotiations, they're all under AFSCME, right?
Mhm.
Does that do anything for you, or is that like, it doesn't really matter whether you're on AFSCME or not? Each one of them requires your specific attention.
They are 3 separate contracts. My goal is to eventually try to combine the contracts. At least the 1262 and 1262 Health Department. But we do negotiate with them separately. They're different groups. They have different negotiation teams. But we do try to align them so they're similar.
And these are 3 out of how many?
We have 8.
8, okay.
Yeah, this year we had, well, in 2023, we had 6 up for openings. So we still have 2 that I'm negotiating with. But this should take up a lot less of my time now that these ones are completed.
Oh, we can think of assignments for you then, huh?
Yes, and I have a whole list of things that I'd like to work on. Is there anything else I should have prepared for tomorrow, or any clarifying questions you might have?
I think we're good. You don't know what
I'll think of it at the
questions
time.
will come up, but
Right?
I'll think of it at the time.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll try to be as prepared as I can. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. I think that's pretty much, that's it.
I do want to report back to you. Last Thursday, I attended a board of directors meeting for the Calistocaicum Council of Governments. And as you know, that's the agency that reviews the state and federal grants for all kinds of building projects, transportation related. And a bit of new information, and I'm not even sure if Susan's has heard, but WashDOT has pulled funding from Exit 21 planning. And you hadn't heard that yet? No. That is a project I believe we gave a considerable amount of money to, 2 million. And this is the year we have to spend it or designate it, otherwise we send it back in. So you might want to find out if we have to come up with alternatives for those different programs. I think the other day we learned about Parks Department looking at doing some recreation improvements in places like Hog Island. I think those are perfect areas that we can redirect those dollars. I was a bit surprised that the state said, nope, we're not gonna work on it. So
Wonder why the state would do that, but I wonder a lot of things about the state.
Yeah, but we also, there might be a bigger story there. They're doing that because they're planning something else that's better, I hope. And that would make me feel better about reassigning the money, because that's a serious problem for affecting everybody in the county. Down exit 21, that is.
Yeah. I know just from sitting Woodland Council meetings, I know they've applied for federal funds for the past few years. I don't know where that stands now because they don't have a public works director at the moment that I'm aware of, so.
I did email the mayor with that, just forwarded that email. It should be a severe impact to the people around Exit 21. don't misunderstand. I don't think it was a Band-Aid solution to start with. So if they have other plans, it might be the right thing. I just don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We can move into. Jessica, do we have executive sessions you need to take care of? No. We don't have to. We didn't set them up as totally, I don't have to close the meeting and then start again, so. If we're done with that and you're ready, we can do that.
Just a quick question, the open public meeting, I should have looked at this more closely. I missed the fact that it was canceled at 9 this morning, but I also see that the second open public meeting is listed at the same time as the first public meeting. The 10 o'clock appears twice. Should that have been 11 o'clock?
I believe the intention was because the agenda review was gonna be very short, so that we could just move directly into HR's executive session.
Okay, it's a bit, yeah, it's a bit strange and or misleading this way, but
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Because they can't both occur at the same time.
Right, and if it's meant to be sequential, then there's no need to separate it out as a second public session.
But what I'm seeing here is two of them. Contract negotiations and collective bargaining. Okay. And how long?
You got 20.
Okay, we can move in and take care of that. Hey, we're back from executive session. No decisions were made. Jessica, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello again, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. I did have a notification and a request that I wanted to bring up this morning. The notification is from juvenile detention. Their detention manager has put in his resignation, so they'll be working on filling that position. I believe they got it posted this morning. No, that's Nick Maudlin. George is the juvenile court administrator who's over all of juvenile, and then Nick is the detention manager, so he's under George. And then a request from the clerk's office. We workshopped this last week. The clerk's requesting overlap for her accounting specialist 3 lead position with a one step date to continue. So she'd like to request overlap. Her current accounting specialist 3 lead is retiring in May, so it is a position that requires a significant amount of training.
I'm good
Okay.
with that, sure.
Thank you. And then those are my only items this morning.
So then we're just waiting for,
Yeah, Sheriff Thurman's supposed to be here at 11.
okay.
We take a recess?
Yeah, we can recess for a couple minutes till he gets here.
Thank you.
The streets are. Excuse me. Hey, we're back. Jessica, this is executive session for contract negotiations. Time? 10 minutes. Okay, we will take care of that business. Okay, we're back from executive session. No decisions were made there. And you have,
I have a request for an executive session related to litigation.
Okay,
Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director.
and how long?
I have no idea. I'll say 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes for litigation. Okay. Back from executive session, no decisions were made. I think that's it unless anybody has any comments or anything for the day.
I did have something to, kind of, I guess, a question to ask. At the Longview City Council meeting where the new members were sworn into office. The council passed a resolution regarding applying for rejoining the county for financing homelessness. And part of that resolution was to wait to kind of basically table it and bring it back at the tail end of April. So that discussion can take place between the county and the city on what, if any, we need to help contribute. And I'm not sure who they are coming to talk to, if they've talked to either of us. Because the story that I had heard is that we have been assured by the county commissioners that there would be money for the city. And I said, we hadn't talked about that. I knew that. And so I don't know
Well,
if there's
I
been.
didn't hear any of that conversation at the meeting. And I know that the council, they've talked to it amongst themselves. But I haven't heard that.
Okay,
The closest I heard is they compared to like Kelso when we set aside some funds for their senior center project and different things, that the ability to get money above and beyond what they generate themselves is available when you're with the county, although that's available even if you're not with the county, if the project was good enough. But
Yeah, there's some interesting things that really don't particularly add up. But anyhow, the first statement I would make is I have no objection at all to the city of Longview deciding to keep the money or to join us.
yeah.
Because when, at least I look at things, I'm not going to decide based on a political boundary. You know, that line is Kelso, that line is Longview or county and Longview. Is the project something we can stand behind? Is it something that fulfills the promise of the money? And so even recently, you can see, even though Longview was on its own, Frank Morrison stuff, which is in the city of Longview, got the funding out of there. If we were trying to play the games of being vindictive or something like that, we said, no, you took the money. We're not going to do anything in Longview. I don't work that way. I don't think either of you guys work that way either.
but I noticed that you used the phrase project and rather than program, which there is a significant difference.
I didn't mean anything by it.
And I know that what the decisions that we've made as a board have been bricks and mortar rather than paying for ongoing social services. And the suggestion was that they had, council member that I talked to said she had been assured that there was going to be more money available to make improvements at Hope Village and to make it more effective, not to shut it down. And I said, well, we need to have that conversation because my understanding is we'll do bricks and mortar, but the ongoing program is different. So I didn't know, if there'd been some conversation because that message wasn't what I had heard. So.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been approached about anything
well.
specific.
So be aware that approach may be set up or put in the works. That's all.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Oh, last Tuesday, one day last week, Castle Rock had Tappanee in, just kind of, they were finalizing the agreement with Tappanee on that, and they're
Oh, yeah.
looking like a 20-year project down there. But I asked about the pump station, and that's still in the permitting process. They're hoping by summer that that'll be done. They're still waiting on permits. You had asked me
Right.
if all
right.
that infrastructure bid in, and they got the line across the overpass over the trestle and stuff, but the pump station is still in permitting.
A permitting process we don't have anything to do with, right?
No,
'Cause it's all
yeah,
inside
it
the
is.
city. Probably
It's
DOE or something like
Well,
that.
Department of Ecology, yeah. Which, my favorite department of all time.
It's also known as the Department of Extinction.
Anything else? Okay. We will adjourn. Thank you.